Hey guys, it's Joshua Peterson Electric here. Normally I do a lot of videos on my YouTube channel for electrical. Every once in a while you'll see me do a video on RV or my chicken coop. I've done my sprinkler, valve boxes. I've done my window well. So every once in a while I do a bunch of odd different things. And I want to talk to you today. It's January 2025. I bought an older red truck, a Toyota. It's like the beginning of the Tacoma. It's called a 1993. It's a 2.4 liter gas. It only seats two people. Sometimes they had an extended suicide or cab with suicide seats. But I'll show you a picture of mine. I bought it 2.5 years ago because it was a fairly good price and it was kind of a classic. It was repainted, had 123,000 miles on it. So for being at the time 30 years old, it was an amazing buy. But I did encounter some issues. As you go to clean up the vehicle, I've noticed, first of all, I bought it up towards Grand Junction. Mesa. And so when you buy something that far away in the mountains, you got to be careful of gasoline. Some of the older gas stations along I-70 probably have older tanks. This vehicle was owned by this older man. I'm not sure if he passed away. It was kind of a sad story. But when I bought it 2.5 years ago, I guess he had gotten dementia and he couldn't drive it. But he was the kind of guy that just for 20 years just drove it to the gas station, got a cup of coffee, met some friends, and came back home. And he had that thing for over 20 years. So I know that it was like me, I'm maybe the fourth owner on it, and it was taken care of very well. And he would go out and wax it as he couldn't drive. So kind of a sad story. But when I inherited it, I took it home and I knew that it needed cleaned up and a lot of different things done to it. So when I get a new vehicle, I tend to get my brakes flushed. I tend to get the radiator system flushed, change the oil. We tend to do any differential fluids, or if there's a transfer case, get the bearings packed on it, get some new radiator hoses so they're not cracked, new battery, of course. So I have a tendency, I'm super anal about my vehicles and I go through them when I get them old. But I did encounter finally where I thought I got in trouble and oops, I bought a lemon. But I didn't. So just keep in mind when you go through and flush a whole vehicle and redo a lot of things that haven't been done at 130 to 200,000 miles, like my daughter's Honda, I got a very nice good deal, 4,500 bucks on a Honda Accord about 7, 8 years ago. And it had 100 and I think 89,000 miles on it, but that SI 2006 Honda Accord four-door, that engine is amazing. Knock on wood, we still have it at 222,000 miles on it, but we probably put about 5,500 to 6 grand into it, maybe 7,000 over the last 7 years to get it to exactly everything brand new inside of that engine. And so I would budget around $5,000 to $7,000 to get things redone, especially if you have to get tires and the tires are expensive. You could be up to 7 grand, but keep that in mind. So anyways, I want to share with you my heartache I went through for 30 months on this vehicle. And really for almost 18 months, half of the time, it didn't have a single issue. But as I looked at my maintenance records, I'm going to show you guys. First of all, this is my truck. I still have it, and I got a cab to the back, so I'm trying to decide if I'm going to get that shell powder coated, or if I'm just going to see if there's a soft shell that'll fit it. But it's literally I think a 5-foot bed. It does not have the extended cab. They did have it painted and re-decaled. These hubs are really, really nice. This is a 1993, and if you basically twist those hubcaps, you can just leave it in that mode and then just hit your four-wheel drive when you need to. But it's a beautiful truck. This truck in the snow is amazing. It is so amazing. Because it's not such a high torque and high power, it literally is just a snow plow and going through the snow. So if you're looking for a vehicle in the mountains like that, I do suggest this vehicle. But yeah, so that's my truck I bought. And so here's kind of my heartache I went through. When we bought it, we had a lot of things done to it, and it did pass emissions when I bought it. And so the one thing that it did not pass on the emission was there's a brake. I'll see if I can find it, but on the back of the truck underneath there's a brake sensor. And so as you put a payload in the back of the truck, the sensor will help basically break the drums in the back. And hardly any vehicles have it, but yeah, it had a hard time passing emissions without that getting fixed. And so we had to get that fixed. And so as my maintenance record shows, you know, we had to put new tires on it for 755, master cylinder brake. That's what had happened. It was 950. That was kind of a surprise. But then I took it to Autoplex. They're amazing in Loveland. They tinted the windows. We got the emissions passed, plates registered, and then we had a pretty huge fat bill. About probably 4 months later, we went through the whole thing for $36.70. But we had new battery terminals, clutch, fly plate had to be put in, tensioner pulley for the grease on that back, water pump gasket, CV joint axles, new resistor for 2 headlights. We went to an LED headlight system instead of this old school halogen. He put, I don't think my picture would show it, but he put an amazing LED system on the front of mine. So it's really bright as you drive now, because the 90s, they just were horrible. And then we had a stereo wire short out for some reason, and then he welded the brake muffler. It was rattling. And then watch out for the compression clutch freezing, but they put 3 belts on it as well. So we had the whole thing gone through. Everything was fine. And then all of a sudden, we went through an issue. Well, we got rear-ended, unfortunately, but the Axiom is great in Loveland. They took care of that. We didn't have to pay anything. But all of a sudden, then we started wondering why it started chugging right around after 10,000 miles we got it. Like I said, about 1.5 years. And then we put in a new fuel filter, my Wi-Fi and my son. Just so you know, though, if you buy this truck, the fuel filter is absolutely horrible. You have to jack this truck up, and you have to get in right through this wheel well, and you got to pull out this skirt so you can change it, and it is so tedious. It was the stupidest design, guys. So if you get in, you're going to want a new fuel filter, especially if it's gas from the mountains. And then the gas treatment, we like to do BGK 44. And then all of a sudden, I had a mechanic, I won't name his name, but he decided to tune up the chain. Guys, don't do that. There is a piece that he can look into with a scope to check and see if the plastic guide is broke, so you don't lose your chain, because if your chain comes off, you've lost your engine. But he decided to tune it, and it made it horrible automatically. It took about a week. And then taking it back to him, he couldn't figure out what he did wrong. And then all of a sudden, we took it to another person, and then the chugging. So we thought it was a fuel pump, and it happened more when it was warm. And I was like, well, that happened to my 89 Escort when I was in college, and I thought that's got to be it. And the fuel pump is not in the tank, I heard. It was actually outside of the tank. Maybe it differs. But it wasn't, because I had another mechanic. I had 3 mechanics look at it, and he put a gauge on it and drove it, and he said, your pressure's fine. So 2 mechanics verified it's not the fuel pump. And I'm like, well, that's crazy. And so we noticed every time it got warm and we went roundabouts, it kept freaking out on us. And then I spent another $300 to try to figure that out. They couldn't figure it out. Now we're 1,075 into it, and it's chugging and finally dying after literally a year. And we would be in the middle turning left on Highway 34, and we were like, oh God, it was so scary. My son quit driving the truck. He got panicked. We all learned the clutch very well. So, hey, if you like a standard vehicle, it's an amazing clutch. But anyways, so I was so frustrated. Honestly, I had to say quite a few prayers over it, because I was losing my mind. And I didn't want to sell it, though I probably could have, because when you started up and drove it, you could drive 10 minutes, 45 minutes. It was fine. But the minute I stopped and I went to the gym or I went to the store for 45 minutes and I got back in the vehicle, it died. It kept chug, chug. And it would chug so bad, you were thinking that it was just getting violent. So finally, I took it to Danny at Fast Track Auto. He is, bar none, one of the best mechanics I'd ever met. So detailed. I wired a couple of his lifts in the shop, so if he watches my videos, kudos to you, Danny. Thank you so much. He figured it out. And I took it into him, and he actually did what I said. He kept driving it home, and then it wouldn't act up because the temperature dropped outside. So finally, it warmed up right around Christmas like it does in Colorado, and he got it to die 2 times an intersection. And he says, I was so scared I was going to get killed. And I says, exactly. So he finally figured it out, and I'm going to show you guys a secret if you own this vehicle. And you will thank me whether you like it or not, but I was getting gasoline in the vapor tube. That's your key to know. And the distributor cap was new, the tune-up was good, the plugs were good. And guess what? Right over here is an ignition coil harness. This little puppy right here has about 7, 8 wires. That goes through the coil, then to the distributor cap, and then fires. So here's my complaint. I would start it up, and as soon as it warmed up, gas would be literally throwing. You think it was coming out the back of it because it was black soot and just spots of black on the cement. And so, and it started getting so hot, it would eat a little hole in my tailpipe. And so we thought, well, we're losing the engine. So they checked compression. It wasn't it. It was misfiring. Again, guys, if you're going to get that tune-up on your chain, they're going to look, like they take off this overhead cam, and they look right in here, and they see if a little plastic guide is broke or not, and mine was doing fine. But don't change the timing chain. This little engine can't handle it. It's a 2.4 liter, 4-cylinder, 4-banger. And so anyways, if this ignition module is off, you could be in trouble. Now, he got quotes for it for $1,000-some. And he tried 2 places. And they worked when they ran, but they wouldn't start. So he finally found one. And I don't know all his secrets, and I don't care. But he found it out of Dubai. And he sent it over, and I didn't care what it cost to fix it. I can't sell it. I can't drive it. So he replaced that module, and all of a sudden, this puppy is purring. It's never felt like this much horsepower. I must have been getting half the horsepower, if not maybe just 30% less. But as it acted up, it just was horrible. It would die. So I just want to share with you guys, yeah, the timing chain secret, the secret behind there. If I can maybe show you, I'll try. But some people call it JR22, but it's a 1993. Oh, my computer's wanting to crash. Okay, there we go. It's an RE Toyota pickup back brake. I think it's a trailer brake system. I don't know. I'm just throwing things out here. I know some of you guys that watch my video might know exactly what it is, but I always forget the name of it. Yeah, there it is. It's on the 89 as well. And you will not be able to pass emissions in Colorado, but they were up in Mesa County. They don't give a crap. But in the back of it is a little actually cylinder in the back. And it has a lever that as you press down on it, there it is. One guy had to rebuild it, and he had then to buy one. It was so frustrating. I dealt with 3 problems with this truck that I was literally going to lose my head on this. So between the back brake, guys, and between this electronic module connected to the coil, and then that chain, those 3 secrets on this truck, you will not pass emissions or you will jack it up. Now, some guys bypass this brake system on the back. You're not supposed to. As you put weight, it really does slow you down. And in Colorado, if those brakes don't stop, they probably won't pass you, and you won't get emissions, and you might as well just treat it like a farm truck. So guys, again, I am now into this truck pretty deep. Some of you might think, why don't you just work on it yourself? That's true, but I make pretty good money as an electrician, so why do I want to climb on under a truck when I have no time as it is? Bottom line is, as vendors, I've got really good mechanics on all my vehicles, and that's the key thing to running a business, is have guys that you can pay, that you know you can just go earn that in the next day. But the bottom line is, yeah, after I'm now about $9,000 into the maintenance on this vehicle, I think I could probably get out of that truck. I've been seeing them online for about $20,000 in mint shape, especially if you go to a classic places. But by the time I'm said and done, I'm about 19.5 into it. Do you keep the truck? Do you not keep the truck? But everything is new on it, including the paint job. So anyways, it's kind of hard to say. I mean, maybe I keep it and I lift it and put on some big tires on it and do a lift, and maybe the roll bar like you had Back to the Future and do something cute on it. I mean, you guys can go ahead and give me some pointers on it. If you know some pointers on doing a lift on it that's pretty inexpensive, that maybe I could do it myself, because I've changed a couple engines, so I'm kind of familiar with mechanics. Just don't have a lift in my garage. But yeah, if you guys might give me some pointers on that, if you love this truck and you like our channel, please let me know. Thanks for joining us, guys. I hope that really helps out somebody.